Hi. Um, I just wanted to do a video and just talk, do a little podcast. I don't really have the ability to do audio only, so I figured I'd show my face because I don't really want to show my face. So I figured I'd do it anyway because I know God likes when we are transparent. So I don't know. I mean, for me, I just wanted to talk about some things. If anyone's interested, um, about myself and about what's going on and all that stuff, because for me it's just easier when the air could be cleared as much as possible and all that kind of stuff. For me it's just easier. So hi one viewer. I'm not going to be answering any questions or anything, so I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to talk so I don't lose my train of thought. um anyway, Aaron, brother Aaron, YouTube channel Redeem 44. I'll link the video when this in the box below when this is done. Just put out a video that timeline of events and stuff, because I know it's very confusing. A lot of people are confused. Me, I'm only grasping this stuff. I mean, where I'm coming from, I'm just dealing with so much persecution and stuff over the years. I can't really handle or really grasping what, haven't been able to really understand what's going on up until recently. And there's all this other stuff, like just my brain power has been, I just can't really spend time. I can't read, I can't do any of this stuff really, or very, because it just, my brain is just shot from all the stuff um I have to intake mentally and spiritually and stuff like that. So I just, I can't read for very long until my brain just stops retaining any information, unfortunately. So, I mean, that really hurts me because I can't really do Bible studies anymore and stuff. I just have to listen to the audio and, um, anyway. Aaron just put out a video about the timeline of events, and I just have to say, um, I believe like 99.9 of everything he said, I've been able to confirm through other people's words. I subscribe to as many channels as I can. I try to listen to everybody as much as I can, and I try to stay neutral, and I try to keep an open mind. Put everything on the shelf of your mind, and then gather your discernment. And I know a lot of the stuff that Aaron said, I can confirm through the other testimonies out there, through the two or three witnesses or whatever. So it's an important video to watch. I know some people might freak out about the Trump thing. Um, my opinion on Trump, and Aaron said that the Lord showed him he's part of the deception. He is. I know people are gonna freak out. Oh, hang on. That he's part of the deception, and he's basically purposely used as the fall guy. And so the Christians, sorry, can be blamed for I'm sorry if that's offensive. Can be blamed for the war to take place and stuff. When it's really the enemy is to blame, but that's believable because that's just classic tactic of what the enemy will surely do. Um, they have that same pattern across the board. They'll murder your family and then frame you, try to set you up for the murder, so everybody investigates you for it. It's your fault. Blah blah blah. So about Trump, though, I have studied, because I do get words from brothers and sisters that some people are giving warnings and about Trump, and other people have been called to pray for Trump since the beginning of the elections. And I have my own testimony and my own experiences, which are pretty unique and important. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at, I don't believe the man is squeaky clean. And I believe it's a mesh of gray as everything else, unfortunately. But there's truth to everything, I believe. But I actually did see in the prophecies, from my discernment of the prophecies, I don't remember where, likely in the book of Jeremiah, maybe in Jeremiah 51, where that is clearly about America. And if you can discern the compound fulfillments of when it talks about Israel, that's talking about two different things happening at the same time, or maybe even more. Um, but anyway, I do know President Trump does have a heart for the persecution that's going on. I know he has a heart for my situation, my close brethren's situation. I'm not being sold a lie. I know that. I know he does care. But how his involvement in the deep state and all this stuff that, I don't know, I'm not an elite. I don't know. So I don't doubt anybody's word, but I take it all. I believe it all. There's good and there's bad. That's where I stand. And that's where I stand from my experiences. And I feel that in the spirit, like talking right now. So, um, so what I believe is it's wrong to say he's a bad person. He's part of the deception, blah, blah, blah. But it's also wrong to put him on a pedestal and say he's our friend and blah blah blah. It's buffering really bad. Well, hopefully we'll catch this on the replay. It's okay. Anyway, I want to pray a hedge of protection over this broadcast, Father. If you could just pray that this message gets out to our brothers and sisters and whomever will receive it. Amen. So that's the only thing about Trump, but I highly recommend seeing Aaron's video because everything he said, I've been able to confirm through other people's words, not just going on Judy's son, and not just going on, oh, this is our little close knit and this is our little clique here. No, 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 no. This stuff is getting confirmed all throughout the body. Generally, what I saw. So stuff. The timeline of the tribulation is really important. I'm just picking this stuff up now today. So, but there's other things I've been able to confirm, like strategic places in America that nuclear bombs are set there, and they will go off in their due time. Most of us will not be here for that. Aaron makes this stuff pretty clear, and I do believe his timeline generally, and so I just wanted to direct people to that video. So it's YouTube channel Redeem44. I'll link it below when I'm done blabbering away. So that's that. Pretty much, most of creation will be saved. And it's just a matter of how much we will see and when we will be raptured. But if you listen to the timeline of events, I'll link this stuff below when the video is done. So, that Judy gave, that Aaron gave, it does make sense. It is scriptural. It may not be 1,000% perfect. I don't know. But it's definitely something to go on. Or something to listen to, for sure. So, I'll link that stuff below. Or you can just look on my liked videos, you'll find it. So, okay. So, enough about that. Those videos speak for itself. I just want to talk about other stuff because I just want to talk about what's going on with me personally and theology and my walk because I know it's rejected by everybody, and that's fine. I expect that. In the same respect, I'm not standing like this is my truth. You have to believe it. I'm hanging on to this for dear life. No, I'm not doing that either. So, but I just wanted to talk because for me, I don't have anyone to talk to. I had to take all this stuff in, and it just makes life a lot easier if I could just clear the air as much as I can for whomever brothers and sisters out there may be listening. So I'm not the most discerned person. I come from a background, a non-religious background, a secular Jewish non-religious background. Um, I never knew anything about the scriptures until after the Lord intervened in my life, and I started searching for the truth. And it wasn't until years later, till the Lord intervened after my life, that I realized that Bible prophecy was unfolding, and start beginning to realize what was going on in the world. It wasn't until like 2015 until I started to even realize what was going on in the world. And the Lord intervened in my life at the end of 2012. Um, so that's where I'm coming from. Um, but anyway, I know about the Billy Meier, the Billy Meier info and stuff like that. I talk about this stuff, and it looks really bad because I can't connect the dots. Like, here's the truth, and I know everybody has, like, well, if the Lord put that in your life, He would give you the tools to discern it. And I agree, um, generally, but He hasn't. And I'm not turning my back on the Lord, and I'm just staying faithful and true that the answers will be given in due time. I honestly believe that the answers will not be there. Maybe after the rapture and all that, maybe during the millennial reign or whatever, um, we'll start to get answers, and that's in the Plejarens prophecies as well. But I just wanted to talk about some of my walk and where I've come from, and I've, some may see I made some mistakes, and maybe I don't want to say led astray, but I went off the path a little, and that was kind of out of righteousness and just open heart. And at the same time, I strongly say that the word occult is not evil. It means hidden knowledge. It does not mean it's evil. That everything associated with occult knowledge is not evil, and I stand strongly in that. Um, and I do believe that within the Christian grain, um, we are perceived to think, oh, it's all evil, it's all witchcraft, stay away, it's an abomination, and that is just false. In the same respect, the devil gets a lot of the spotlight because that's all we see. So, so that's why people feel that way, and why it becomes somewhat of a gray area, because the forces of light um, don't really get any spotlight. And the same thing goes with the extraterrestrial thing too. Yes, I believe wholeheartedly Satan is going to use the extraterrestrial factor to deceive the world, because that's what they have. Um, I believe wholeheartedly what people are saying, but I also strongly believe, because I've seen it myself and it's part of my testimony, that existence is greater than the forces of evil, and um, our cosmos and existence is teeming with life beyond our wildest dreams, and there are forces of light out there, but the forces of light don't necessarily, they stay in the shadows and just watch and aid, and they do not interfere, generally speaking, unless they have to. Time will tell. But so the devil gets the spotlight. The devil is the one that needs to sell us something. The devil needs to make a move. The forces of light do not. So it's just a misconception that I try to advocate, that all alien life and anything having to do with alien is evil and demonic, etc. That is just a false Christian conception. And I hope I'm not coming off offensive. But, the stroke is a little bit broader than that. So, and it's just logical to think that. So, I do stand that, and that's why I do have a lot of alien stuff on my channel. It's just, for me, I just thought it was important to wake people up that, hey, we're not alone in the universe. It's okay. Not everything is evil and demonic. And that is not in our general consciousness, in our worldview, unfortunately, and that limits us and prevents us from evolving. And I've experienced this, and I have seen human extraterrestrials within my surveillance countless times. I've had countless close direct contact, countless. And if you want to hear about that, it's written about in the foreword of my book. In the section of my personal testimony, I cover all the alien stuff. It's all in there. So there's that. So for me, I just feel it's a duty to, I do see misconceptions and stuff that, oh, it's all demonic, it's all evil. No, that's just what we see. We just see all the evil and the demonic, and that's what we're going to see in the future. But it doesn't mean all alien life out there is evil and demonic. And that's just illogical thinking. So, with that clear, why I have maybe some questionable information on my channel or in a questionable path. Yes, I've eaten from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I've had that confirmed by the Lord. I've also had that confirmed it's not an evil thing. And like we're led to believe, I'm not spiritually dead. I'm not dead. I'm not a force of darkness. I'm not a deceiver. We are known by our fruits, not our theology and stuff like that. So, the proof is in the pudding, I guess. But anyway, over a year ago, the Lord put a woman in my life, and she generally came from that background and studies that stuff, as many probably know. And so out of righteousness and thinking, well, the Lord put this woman in my life, so she has something to say. I don't know too much about it. Yeah, I went that way, as anybody would, searching for what is the Lord trying to tell me. We are not together anymore, and it is what it is. But I'm not saying, I know a lot of people find it very easy to say, bah, witchcraft, occult, astrology, numerology, witchcraft, bah. And that is just not correct. I don't think it's correct to worship these things. I don't think it's correct to put these things first before God. That's when it does become idolatry. And that's when it does become, that's when the gates begin to open, when the Lord said, or whoever said in the book of Genesis to Eve, if you eat of that fruit, you will surely die. In my opinion, yes, I kind of take the Gnostic view out of that, because that's just the evidence that I see. And I've studied this stuff and what I see to be true. I'm not saying I support the Gnostics at all. I don't support any sect. I don't really support any earthly religion at all. That's just my view. I think we're above that. I think God's above that. And I think we're going to evolve out of all that stuff. But in the same time, when we read things about like, oh, you will surely die, I think that's just like an opinion. If you eat of that fruit, you will surely die. It means, well, you'll likely go to the dark side if you eat that. It doesn't mean you will, but you likely will. Maybe that's the truth of the matter. And this is just from what I see. We do have the story of Adam and Eve. A lot of people will not like it and do not, because we want to think we are, God created us in our image. That God created us, but I'm sorry. What I believe, I'm sorry. What I believe is that yes, we were seeded by extraterrestrials, which is a very common thing out in our universe. It's a very common thing, and it's been used for good and bad and experiments in between. And what I'm getting at is yes, I do believe the Billy Meier info. I do believe it because it's evident. And it does make sense, but there are crucial questions. There are crucial questions and dots that need to be connected that are not being connected and that are not being answered. And I cry out to God every day for answers. And so I look silly, and I don't expect people to buy this stuff, but Um, I just inspire people to have the courage to, to ask God about these things and think for yourself and go outside the theology a little. But anyway, um, what I'm saying, we do have a story of what really happened in the story of Adam and Eve about 10,000 years ago. And there is no evidence of a fall of man happening at that time. I believe we're fallen, um, and things are not the way they should be. I mean, that's just evident. We know we have that in our genes. We have this fallen nature in our genes. Um, did we get that because Eve took a bite of the fruit? Well, time will tell. I don't believe so. Um, but actually, I mean, we're actually told that we come from a genetically manipulated people in some way. I mean, I write about this stuff, and Earth has a very long, amazing, just amazing, very long history, and where we get our evil inclination from our Yetzer Hara, as the Jews say, um, goes back to our lineages before we were here on Earth. Before the civilizations existed on Mars and existed on the planet called Malona, which destroyed itself and is now our asteroid belt. It goes our original lineages, or at least from the Plejarens lineages, which we are related to, go back to the Lyra and um, Vega constellations, if I'm not correct. And no, I'm not an expert on this stuff. But the Plejarens are descendants of the Lyrans. And ironically enough, we all know that Jesus is called the Lion of the tribe of Judah. And if maybe some of you are familiar with seeing all these cat references with Christians, right? Um, there's a lot of cat references out there. Well, it's amazing because what I learned is that the Lyrans, whom the Plejarens are descended from, and we are descendants of the Plejarens, if you but there actually is an alien feline species from that lineage. So we are actually related to felines genetically, apparently. And when I see all the cat references that the devil puts out and all this stuff, because they know this stuff, we don't. We're searching for the answers. They know all this stuff. They sold their souls to get that information. So, whatever. They've earned it. Whatever. But I think that's why, the line of the tribe of Judah, where we get that from, and we know, and all that kind of stuff. But there are actually feline, an alien race of lion-like beings, feline beings. That's probably where we get our cats from here on Earth. Um, I believe this stuff because I do see the evidence of it. So that's why I'm talking. But anyway, I've been led down, out of righteousness. I followed the path of the woman that I fell in love with because God put her in my life, and it only makes sense, that that one would do that. Well, she comes from a different background than I do. She has something to say. All right, what is God trying to say? So, um, I don't say the things she teaches or does videos about is wrong at all. I don't jump on that wagon. I don't jump on the witchcraft bandwagon and stuff like that. Um, I believe occult knowledge can be used for good, and or evil. And unfortunately, we only see the evil. That's what the word occult really means. It means hidden. It does not mean evil. It just means hidden, because this stuff has been hidden from us, because it's been hidden from us because when we have this, we have our consciousness. And when we have our consciousness, we have our power, and Satan cannot enslave us if we have this knowledge, generally speaking. But I do believe what matters most is the Lord and the Holy Spirit, and that just puts that just makes everything different. Yeah, exactly. Not everyone of the occult was evil. I'm sorry. Um, but the evil people in the occult get all the spotlight. So, um, but what matters most is the Lord, is the Holy Spirit and His Spirit and the truth and all that kind of stuff. I think that matters more. So, and of course, we all need the Lord and stuff like that. And when it goes to the Billy Meier info, I just have a lot of questions that I don't get answers to. We'll get the answers later, I assume, but I don't know when it comes to that stuff of those transcripts of Emmanuel when Billy Meier went back in time and met Emmanuel. People want to think this is not of God because it goes against so much our beliefs and all that kind of stuff, and that's okay. But I believe it's true. If you spend time in this information, well, this stuff is not being made up. It's not a deception. There's too much information for it to be a deception or to be made. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And when you read those words, it's clearly of the same man. It's of a very wise man. Oh, thank you, Christine. So I know it shakes our foundations, and I'm not saying you got to believe it. I'm holding on to this stuff for dear life, but I do want to say I do believe this stuff is true, but I don't have all the answers. And yes, I do cry out to God for the questions that I have. Um, but there is a lot of evidence in our scriptures supporting this. I mean, why is Jesus called the Son of Man? There's no explanation that I know biblically, but the Meier information clears it up pretty quite well, unknowingly. Um, that's for one. When I first heard Jesus Christ's name was really Emmanuel, I knew that was true in my heart. I'm like, well, that's the one name nobody uses. It must be true, because it's the one name no one uses, and it's scriptural. So I don't mean to come like there's a lot. I can't defend this information. Whatever. So I don't have all the answers, but I do believe the basic gist of this information. I do. And I just wanted to clear that up with those who may be listening, and I do stand by it, but unfortunately I don't have all the answers. I have questions that really need answers, and I'm crying out to God for them. And because the Lord showed me, like, no, this stuff matters. The Lord put this stuff in my life. He showed me, yes, this stuff matters of what's going on. What I believe is that the Plejarens, when this information was coming about over the half a century of information this stuff was unfolding, they did not know or could not know the the relevance of our scriptures in these last days. So there's that. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted out there with they're having fun out there. But I think they underestimated our scriptures, did not see how the scriptures would just come to life in these end times, which are so obvious to us. So you could see that clash. Okay, this is over almost a century's worth of time. So, well, since the 50s, so since the 40s, I'm sorry, half a century worth of time. So, they couldn't, even the advanced extraterrestrials did not know the relevance of our scriptures in these times that are unfolding now. And maybe when they were looking what was going on in the early church and with Emmanuel, they just overlooked and did not see God's moving despite the falsities that were coming about. I mean, that's why the prophet Muhammad was raised up, apparently, was to speak out against the falsity of the Christian church, against the Paulism, against the name Jesus Christ, stuff like that. And in retaliation, they took Muhammad's teachings and his life, falsified it, and made a false religion about him, just like what they did to Emmanuel. But amazingly, there's so much truth in Christianity as well. Lord led me down the path for a long time about the Nephilim. I can't read all that. I'm sorry. But anyway, I don't know. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, And I just want to say I don't have the answers, and I'm sorry, but um, I don't generally talk about this information with other stuff because I don't have the answers to really drive it home, unfortunately. And a lot of people would think, well, God should bring that to you. Well, I would assume so, but He hasn't yet, and I'm staying faithful and true to my truth and walk, and waiting on His patient timing, and waiting patiently on His good timing. So that's where I come from. Um, that's all. I mean, I do believe this information is true, but I don't know. I wish it was more clear, but it doesn't matter. What matters is our heart with the Lord. Thank you. What matters is our that we keeps our heart with the Lord as He's coming so soon. All that kind of good stuff. What we're doing, keep each other watched, keep each other informed, trying to warn people, trying to bring people to God. That's what really matters. Okay, the time is imminent. That's what really matters. But I just wanted to clear this up, just because for me, I don't have anyone to talk to, and I just listen to people's overtones and stuff like that, and it builds up for me and it hurts me. Not because of you guys, just that's my walk. It's just the isolation, no way to vent, no way to speak my mind. It it brings it makes life harder for me. So I need to make these videos and just talk and try to explain where I'm coming from. That's all, just to try to clear the air, whatever. But whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is us keeping our hearts with God because He's coming so soon. And that's all, guys. I don't know. I hope this was clear. I'll let you go. Thank you for listening. See the link in the description box below. I'll link those 2 videos about yeah, we'll see you in the air, Ash. I don't know you personally, I don't think. Um Thank you. Um yeah, check out those 2 videos. The video Aaron just put out and the video that Judy put out as well, when God fell on her son when he was 10 years old. I mean, we have to pay attention to this stuff, and if we don't, we're slipping up in our walk with God. We have to listen to each other. Well, welcome to the channel. All right, guys. God bless. Thank you.